found this guy on YouTube who was doing this crazy thing called reality transurfing. And I bought the doggone book, Reality Transurfing, and I did everything on it and tried to read it. And then I just listened to his audios and I read the book with it. Changed my life, this book. I looked at the world differently. I understood for the first time in my life when I understood my human design is that that is exactly what I was supposed to do my entire life. I was supposed to try out what worked and what didn't work. And then I was supposed to use what worked and bring it forth to the world. And that's why all the work I do is based on human design, because your human design can give you a understanding of where you came from, why you came from, and how you're unique and why you're different. And I moved from was and left my really great, awesome job that I had that paid a lot of money, and I was a big wig. Jobs didn't happen. Get in my car, and I realized as I get in my car, you have to do everything different. You've come here for something totally different. Read the book with it. Changed my life. This book.
All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. Really excited today to have someone who's a good friend of mine, someone that I've worked with for probably, about 5 years now, in
Yeah.
reality transurfing and in human design. Dr. Jeana Locke, someone who has studied a lot about human beings on a professional level, as well as a spiritual level. And I don't want to say too much about your background. I'll let you kind of explain that. But you've been an incredible resource to me. You're my personal human design reader, and we've been through a lot together. And I appreciate
We
you
have.
so, so much for everything that you've done and helped me and guided me through, and the tools that you've equipped me with to really feel in my own body what was right and what was wrong, and to be able to really understand my intuition deeper. So I just want to start out by just saying thank you, and I appreciate you a tremendous amount for everything that you've been willing to share and give to me.
Well, I'm happy to be here. And if we need to do another master class to talk about it a little bit more, we can do that as well. So a little bit about me as I've been in education many years. I'd earned my bachelor's degree originally, and then I went back. I got hurt. I had something happen in my life. I was paralyzed and was learning to walk. And I had a husband who I call the good doctor, and that's sarcasm beyond sarcasm, since I can't say the other words that he really was on here without making edits happen. So I figured out what I needed to do, and I was pulled to go back to college and work on my master's degree. And I went back to the university, and I couldn't walk. And all at once, I had made up my mind I was going to do it, and I figured out how to do it. And I told one person I was going to do it, just one person. And all at once, I had this phone call from this guy that I call my first angel. I'm sure there were many more in my life, but this first angel called and he says, "Hey, I heard you want to go to college, and I'm going to college." He says, I could pick you. I know you've been just had back surgery and you've been paralyzed and you're learning to walk. And he says, but I can have a truck. You can lay the seat down flat. I can drive you. So the first semester of college, Dan drove me back and forth to college, carried my books, which because I couldn't lift, I was in a body cast thing, carried my books to my class, did my stuff, worked and did my class and loved it, loved college, going back. And it was very difficult. I was physically in really bad shape, but emotionally, it's what I needed. So Dan graduated that semester. And then I'm still not driving. I'm barely walking. He's carried everything. I have done nothing except show up. Carried 18 hours that semester for those of you who want to think about a master's program with 18 credits in a master's program. And so all at once, I went ahead and registered next semester, and angel number two showed up, and Susan calls and says, never met her, never heard of her. I lived in a tiny little bitty town, and you'd think I'd know everybody. It was like 1,200 people. And she calls and she says, you don't know me. My husband's the Episcopalian pastor, but I'm finishing my teaching certificate this semester, and I need to go to college, but I can't afford to. And if you could pay for the gasoline, I can come and pick you up and drive you and take your books and carry them. She says, I'm just really called to do this. So all at once, angel two number shows up, drives me back and forth to college. And I get through, and she, of course, graduates in May. And I'm like, what am I going to do? But I'm walking better. So I can sort of carry my books at this point because I could lift more than 5 pounds. And I want to go to summer school and get some summer school done because then I can go ahead and graduate in the fall. And with my master's degree in curriculum and secondary education and a whole bunch of pieces of paper that, the world has. So I get this phone call from a person I know, and she says, "Hey, Jeana, it's Susan." This is another Susan. And she says, I have that my ex-husband was my husband at the time was a veterinarian. She says, "I have the dachshund," and everybody named their dog to me because I knew their dogs. I didn't know their names, but so I named the dachshund. I love this little dachshund. And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Hey, I need to go to summer school, and the Pell Grants do not pay for summer school, and I'm having a hard time. If you can drive and pay for the gasoline and maybe cover a little bit of food once in a while, I'll come and pick you up and drive you to school, and I'll get you to class, and I'll get you home. I'll make my schedule work." So summer school hits, I get to school. So I've had three angels show up that were the drivers. Then the angels that all showed up in school who moved my classes from the fourth floor to the first floor because they didn't have ADA back then. And this was in 1986, and ADA didn't exist. So there was nothing for somebody who couldn't walk or who couldn't do anything. And so those angels all showed up and moved their classes around, and all the teachers like worked with another teacher since I had to be on the first floor to switch their classes so I could have the first floor and they didn't have to. All kinds of stuff happened. And as I was going through that, I read some books on stuff, but I really not supposed to be in this education thing. Got my master's, started my doctorate, learned to drive. Susan made me learn to drive again and push the brake pedal and the gas pedal. And she would practice every day. We would start an hour early, and she'd stop somewhere and then make me drive for a little ways. And then she'd get out and I'd drive, and then I'd go get him because she didn't trust me to park. And you shouldn't have trusted me to park. She didn't trust me to back out. The last 2 weeks, the last 10 days of summer school, she let me park the first 5. And the second 5 days of the last days of summer school, she let me drive to, not the whole way, but part of the way, and then back out and drive part of the way home. And then she said it was up to me to practice before the next semester. So if that gives you any hint. But I had all these angels show up, and I sort of knew there was more to life. Got my master's, went ahead, ended up working on my doctorate, got my PhD, earned my PhD. Did divorce the good doctor after a very long trials and tribulations. Very tough situation, physically tough. Besides that, of lots of abuse in a lot of ways, and it was very difficult. But I made it out. I did attempt suicide, and it didn't work. Had it real well planned, didn't work out. And I knew God did not want me to die because I just knew it. I said, "You don't get to die until you get your job done. Apparently, you're supposed to be working in education." So I got headed on, got my doctorate, worked in education, did lots of big stuff in education with early college, high schools, all kinds of stuff. Loved it, loved everything about it. Changed jobs, did stuff, ended up remarrying after a bit. Lots of stuff happened and life went on, but it wasn't always easy. I struggled a lot. And there was certain times like, when I hit 40, I just had to do something. Like it's like this just pulled me to it, and I couldn't stop. And I didn't understand that. I was 30 when I was paralyzed, you guys. My first Saturn return was 30, and me trying to figure out who in the hell, excuse me, who I was in this world and what was going on. And I had a really hard time with it, And then 40, I was finishing the doctorate, and I had to get that doctorate done. I got on through, and I hit 50, and it was like, this is not right. Something's not working. But I had these good jobs. I had great things. I was winning big awards as educator, like big awards as teacher, big awards as, employee of the year, big organizations. And I did all this stuff, but things kept tugging and pulling. So go along a little further, and I had divorced my second husband with some stuff that happened that was like the shock of all shocks of my entire life. I couldn't believe it happened. And here I was, me, and I was alone for a long time, and I was good at that. I liked it. All life is good. I didn't want to deal with being in relationships or dealing with any of that stuff. I just needed to deal with me. So I sort of found me, and I liked me, and I had this nice experience of really interested. And I finally dated somebody after a while. We dated a long time, and we got married, and I moved where I was and left my really great, awesome job that I had that paid a lot of money. And I was a big wig and employee of the year of the 6th largest community college in the nation. And you talk about if you want to win an award, I won it. If you want to have it happen, I did it. It was great. And he wanted to get married. And after 4 years, I finally literally gave in. I will tell you honestly, I really gave in. Nice guy. This is good guy. Why are you walking away from this? All that good stuff. Got married and moved to a different state, and it got tough. Life got tougher and tougher and tougher. Jobs didn't happen. I had been pulled to do stuff. Nothing showed up. You made too much money, you have too much education, you had a 4.0, all of that kind of stuff that just, can you imagine? Doing all that, in the middle of that, I was doing something one day and I was driving over to a different city and my car hydroplaned. And it hydroplaned with the semi sitting next to me. It had been dry, no rain, and all of a sudden it started pouring. All of a sudden I'm in the middle of a pouring rainstorm and it almost stops and I'm going about 25 miles an hour by this semi up this slight hill on a turnpike and my car hydroplanes underneath the semi. I watched the semi wheels go around and around. And I'm watching and I'm like, oh, good, I get to die this time. Life's been really hard. The first time I'd had surgery, I didn't wake up really well. So I sort of had a near-death experience. After 3 or 4 days, I finally woke up and I didn't know who I was. The second time I tried to commit suicide and it didn't work. And this time I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I get to go. I am excited. And I was fine with it. I just let go of the wheel. I just stopped. I said, I hope nobody else gets hurt on this. And I just let go. And I watched the wheels and I watched the concrete barriers on the turnpike. And all at once, my car sitting in front of the semi on dry pavement. And I'm like, what just happened? I mean, I'm like, I should be dead. I thought maybe I was. And then I decided because I could feel the steering wheel, I wasn't dead. And I didn't know I didn't know how I got there. I knew the angels had come just like I'd felt them come those other 2 times. And I felt the angels and I did it. And I just started crying my heart out, bawling, bawling, bawling. I was so sad that I hadn't got to go home to where heaven was. And I turned around and I stopped them and said, okay, I got to figure that I'm just doing okay. And I'm driving along. So I'm going about 45 miles an hour because I finally started going a little faster. We're on the turnpike, you guys. And then behind me, as I hit about 55, all the lights start siren. And a highway patrolman is behind me, pulls me over. I slow down and pull over like you do where I live. You pull over and he pulls behind me. And I'm like, why is he pulling me over? I don't know idea why he's pulling me over. As he gets ready to get out of his car, it starts pouring rain again. Like, I mean, buckets. And he walks around my car and he walks around my car and he walks around my car the third time. And I've put the window down with my driver's license and insurance verification. And he shakes his head and he walks around my car and he shakes his head at me and he just keeps walking. About that fourth time, I said, would you please just go check my insurance verification stuff? And he goes, no, go get in my driver's seat in my car. So I get in the driver's seat of his car and I'm sitting there and he says, I was following you and I have on video your car hydroplaning under that semi. And I said, okay. And he said, you should be dead. There should be a wreck. There's no damage on your car. How did you do that? And I'm just quiet. I don't know what to say because all of a sudden I realized I can't explain this one away, you guys. I can't explain to the world this didn't happen. I can't explain I tried to commit suicide. It didn't work. This time it's like real because there's somebody who witnessed it. And he sits there and he talks and talks. He gets pretty upset and he says, you should be dead. Why aren't you dead? Why aren't you in your car scratched? What's going on? And I get really quiet and I'm sitting there and he just gets really upset. After about 5 or 10 minutes, all at once we have a car and we're sitting on the side of the turnpike road. My car's in front and his is behind. He's got his lights blaring. And it's pouring rain again. It's still pouring rain now. And all of a sudden, you can see a car getting ready to T-bone us. And I look because I can see it coming because I'd been looking at him. And I could see this car and my eyes were like that. And I thought, oh, well, here it comes again. We're about to have it happen again. The car's about to T-bone us. And all at once it stopped. He stops and he opens his door to wave his hat. And the car lifts up and moves in front of my car in front of us. And we both see it. And then he gets back in and he's about frozen and he says, you're not real, are you? You're not real. And I'm like, so quiet. He goes, you have this weird light on you. He said, you don't speak. He says, I don't know what keeps happening. As we go through this, we get through this whole experience. And after a while, about 40 minutes or so, I finally say, will you please check my driver's license and stuff? And he won't touch me. He won't touch the driver's license. He won't touch anything. He's totally freaked. What am I going to tell my boss why I pulled you over? He reads the driver's license and then he looks at me. And you guys, at that point, I was 60 years old. That was 8 years ago. I was 60 and he goes, you've never had a ticket. I said, no. He goes, no one's never had a ticket. No one's never, ever, ever had a ticket, especially 60. So we end up getting to leave, and finally he lets me go, gives me a thing called a warning for being sure to drive really carefully when it's raining. That's all he can do because he can't give me a ticket. There's nothing to give a ticket. So I go on, I get in my car, and I realize as I get in my car, you have to do everything different. You've come here for something totally different. You come here to do very different things. And here's where you are. And since the age of 58 to that 60, I had just been totally lost, and everything I had tried had not worked. Nothing had worked. I got home and I, I stopped and I realized I have to do it all very differently. And I started digging into energy healing. I dug in, I ended up connecting with an energy healer, doing emotion code, body code, and all those things. I started doing that. She did work with me. I found this guy on YouTube who was doing this crazy thing called reality transurfing, and I bought the doggone book, Reality Transurfing, and I did everything on it and tried to read it. And then I just listened to his audios and I read the book with it. Changed my life, this book. I looked at the world differently. I could look at it like I'd been the victim of everything, or I could look at I'd had an opportunity to do so much more. And from that moment forward, I changed everything I did. That guy, he hears it, he never believes it, but he totally changed the way I looked at me and changed the way I saw myself and changed the way I felt in myself because I got it when I heard him read this book. It touched my heart and it pulled me in and it tugged at me for me to do more. So fast forward, I go ahead and do some more stuff and later on, and I end up certifying in energy healing. I'm certified in a whole bunch of energy healing. Like I'm one of those people that just keeps getting those pieces of paper. I certified in human design. I learned a lot about it. I understood how it worked, and I connected the dots between human design, energy healing, and Western medicine, and how that all flows together. And what I found for me was that it is truly how we tell our story and what we do with our story and how we do it. And it all came back to Bootsy Greenwood reading that whole story about pendulums and getting pulled and reading the whole part about the rising, the whole rising morning, the sun coming up and reading it from the two angles. And I just started tweeting every time I got down in the dumps, I reread that day with a higher angle and a different angle. So that gets me to so then I studied human design. So I hunted till I found Bootsy Greenwood one time. And I, honest to God, if he didn't feel stalked, he should have felt stalked. He was until I found his email and I emailed him and told him how he had made a difference in my life. And we ended up connecting, became friends. And from that, that's how you got me today. So I happen to have a human design that's called a manifesting generator. And a manifesting generator is somebody who's super busy and does a whole lot and multiple tasks and does everything. So I learned a lot. And I'm a 3/6 in the profile number. And the 3/6 on the profile number is, you know, it's three is a explorer, experimenter, trial and error. And all my life, I thought I'd failed at everything I'd done because I try it and then I'd leave it. I try it, then I'd leave it. I try it, and then I'd leave it. And I understood for the first time in my life when I understood my human design is that is exactly what I was supposed to do my entire life. I was supposed to try out what worked and what didn't work. And then I was supposed to use what worked and bring it forth to the world. So my whole deal of learning and being trained and all those educational things and getting all the teaching licensed professional counselor and learning assessments backwards and forwards and working on national accreditations and doing all that was important. Learning how to learn to do energy healing and go through that, understanding human design, being able to read and stop and pick and pull was a big deal because because I was a 3, I was supposed to do all that. And then I was a 6. And when I got to be 58 years old, which is the age I was when I moved to Oklahoma from Texas, from my great job to my life changing, I had to get to the point of knowing that there was more to give Like I was supposed to give back and be the wise sage. So it's my turn to give back to the world now. And when I don't do it, I feel really crappy, don't feel good. And when I do it, I feel really awesome and I feel joyful. And so all of those experiences brought me together. And that's why all the work I do is based on human design, because your human design can give you a understanding of where you came from, why you came from, and how you're unique and why you're different with what you're going to give to the world than what somebody else is going to give to the world. Like what I'm going to give to the world is going to be very, very different than what Bootsy gives to the world. His world is going to show up, and what he provides to this world is going to be through mastery and different stuff. And mine's going to be through experimentation and trial and error and bringing it forth. So with that, I bet you'd like to know a little about human design, wouldn't you?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and y'all, if Jeana was in the first time we did the deep dive into the reality transurfing, we did it like a book club, and I mean, she added a ton to that, and we've been in contact for years and years now, and every time I've had kind of like a really transitional point, I guess I would say, in my life where I'm going to try this or I'm going to do that. She's the first person that I reach out to be like, "Hey, Jeana, I'm thinking about doing X, Y, or Z. What do you think?" And so she's just been instrumental in my life. And yeah, the way we met was yeah,
Being
amazing. You never know.
stalked.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm
It wasn't a bad stalking, but it really was. I really wanted to find him. I needed to tell him thank you. Because once I got everything pulled together and I started looking at my life and recognizing how everything connected, I totally got it that I wouldn't have gotten there without reality transurfing. And I couldn't get this book by itself. And I have my bookshelves are 9 foot
you have
tall
more
and
books
13
than I
foot.
do. I don't appreciate
And
that.
I have 9 foot and 13 foot across here of bookshelves, and they're filled with books. And then there's books in the garage. So I can read and grasp something from a book, and I couldn't get it. So I listened to his Audible at that point, and I on YouTube, very legitimate, very good. And I just had to tell him thank you. So I am going to talk a little about where human design comes from on here. And when I do that, I'm going to
You want
go
to
in
share
here and
screen?
put, I am going to share screen, but my slideshow keeps
Hold on.
going to a full screen. So 1 second, I'm going to put slideshow, and
Yeah,
I'm
when
going to
Jeana found me
put,
too, I'll say this. I had stopped making content for a while. I kind of took,
oh yeah.
there was a lot of stuff that happened, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I was maybe a little, it was time for me to, come back. And I've had reservations about coming back. And I was like, all right, it's time. I'm going to put some stuff out there. And I think maybe those first couple of videos that I start putting out there is what she found and how she was able to email me, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a big confirmation for me to start making content
So
again,
he, yeah,
videos.
he wasn't easy to find on anywhere for about 2 years probably. And in those years, I had subscribed to his YouTube channel, and one day it popped up that there was a YouTube from him, and so I went in, and then I started going like, who is Bootsy Greenwood? Like, who is he? For I can email him. I want to email him and say thank you, and I want to say something. And I'd commented on a couple of videos and stuff, but I literally hunted until I figured out where a way to like figure out that here's a good way to connect with him. And it was truly, I was really pulled. And I will say, even to this day, that he gets a text message from me once in a while saying, your guides are talking to you, you're not listening, you probably ought to get off your butt and just do it. And
Mhm.
he gets those kind of text messages like on really weird times. And almost always within 2 seconds, I get a phone call going, how did you know I was sitting here
It's
contemplating
so
something?
true.
So just so you know, it's a pretty strong connection that we've had with each other on that. And so I'm trying to get it to let me just look at this one screen. And here it is, share. On here, I know you can see the side part over here, and I'm going to apologize. When it goes to full screen, I can't read the rest of my screen, and I made some notes I want to
It looks
read
good.
on here about some
Yeah.
stuff. So it'll be all right. So in here, the history of it. Human design was really downloaded by this guy in 1987. This guy, and I'm going to tell you, he was doing probably some of the psychedelic mushroom type stuff, doing the different things. That's who he was. He said he came into this place and he had this place that he called the mother, and he later calls it the voice, and all of his books talk about it. He was given a transition of human design. So this whole transmission of this complicated system was done right in the end. He did this, and he was very passionate that he was supposed to give it to the whole world. Whole world's supposed to have this. It's supposed to share it. It's supposed to be there. You're supposed to understand it. So you don't have to understand it to the depth. I understand it, but understanding about yourself was really helpful for you to be able to do. So it's known as the science of differentiation, is what he called it. And I see it as that because it differentiates how each of us are uniquely different. And also how for me, is to stop and recognize that when someone is very different from me and shows up differently than I do, there's nothing wrong with that. I need to not judge them for being different. I need to love them for who they are because they've come here to contribute differently. They've come here to do it differently. And if they don't see it the view I see it, then I've got to get myself to understand that that's me judging them and I don't want to be judged. So why can't I just love them as they are? So when I said I'm a 3/6, I think the first thing I learned after I learned my human design, I'd been at a retreat and I had a reading from Karen Curry Parker that lasted about 2.5 hours. And in that reading, the first thing I came out of that reading and I had a whole new look at myself. And I said, every time somebody would give me a bad time or question me or put me down for trying something or doing something, I had a lot of criticism from my family. 3/6s, if you're a 3 when you get your profile, if you're a 3 or you're 6, you have lived through a lot of frustrating times of being criticized by your family because you try a lot of things on and then you let go of them and go move on. And so I had done that, and I was always being explained how wrong I was by my sisters and things. And as I said that, I used to come in and say, when somebody would say something and they didn't like what I was doing and they wanted me to do it different, I would just stop and say, I'm an MG, I'm 3/6, I have a sacral authority, and I'm just fine. And I turn around and walk off. Nobody knew what in the heck I was talking about for years. And I didn't really care because, be honest with you, it stopped them in their tracks. And I will tell you that once you know your design, those words right there will, and then you just turn and walk away, and they'll say, what is that? And you can say, it's human design, go figure it out, and walk away. And they probably will leave you alone because they have for most of my clients once we do that. So as I say that, it was what I understood differentiated me, and it helped me stop and look at it. It's the Kabbalah, it's a Western astrology, it's quantum science. It's a whole lot about jumping timelines, just like, well, this is my words, jumping timelines. It's just like reality transurfing. You can change your timeline. You can move into a different timeline and get yourself in a different vibrational place. And human design does that with the quantum part. It has the chakra system in it, and it has the I Ching. And the I Ching is the 64 different things on there. It has many, many layers. We're only going to go through a few layers today. And if you want to get into deeper layers on it, find yourself somebody you connect with on a human design part, because the layers are, the first ones are your type and your profile. And you want to know a little bit about your authority, which is how you make decisions. And then after that, as Bootsy can tell you, we've gone into deeper layers. Like every so often I'll call him and I'll say, you're in a big astrology thing right now, and it's hitting you and you're not getting there. You need to stop and recognize that why you're feeling pulled to do this differently is because you're in a place that your chart says blah, 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 and can go through that. So when you get there, recognize you can go as deep as you want to go, or you can stay up here high. All you really have to do to learn to enjoy and love yourself more is learn your type, learn your authority, which is how you make decisions, and to learn a little bit about your profile. Those 3 things right there will keep you, if you just learn how to do those 3 things, you're going to stay in alignment with the true person that you were designed. I look at it as, you can say God or source, whatever, but source made an electrical wiring system in all of us, and we call it human design. And that chart tells us how we're electrically wired to connect, and how we connect when somebody else that's wired differently comes into our aura, into our energy field. Then how do we connect with their wiring, and what happens when we do that? So that's what human design is. It's pretty easy to understand the simple parts of it. When you get your charts, the first thing you see is your dates of your things, your aura type. Those are the 5 energy types: manifestors, generators, manifesting generators, reflectors, and projectors. There's 5. The strategy is how you use the energy for each type The authority is how you make decisions. The profile is sort of the costume. I'm a 3-6. I see the world through the eyes of a 3 and the eyes of a 6. Bootsy sees the world through the eyes of a 5 and a 1. There are people in the group who see the world through the eyes of a 2 and a 4. And once we go through those a little bit, you can stop and go, that is exactly what it is. I can tell you when I learned to love my husband for being the 4-6 that he is, generator with an emotional authority, and quit trying to like be critical of him for whatever, I could all of a sudden see where he came from because he sees the world through the lens of a 4-6 generator with an emotional authority. And I'll talk about that in just a second. So that gives you a little bit of what that is. Those of you who are there, if you already know, manifestors are 8% of the population. So if you're a manifestor, is anybody on our group of manifestor that shows up? I have got 4 new manifestor clients. Something in the world's happening with manifestors right now. So I have 4 new clients who have just come into me, and I have no idea where they came from at all. I have no concept who referred them, how they found me, what they did. I have no idea. And they are all manifestors. And manifestors have a real interesting energy. They know when they know when they know that they know. And when they know, they go ahead and proceed and move forward. And all they have to do is inform. There's not a lot of manifestors. But I am going to say the world tries to teach us to be a manifestor by saying, just go do it. Like when you know, just go do it. As Bootsy can tell you, he's learned he can't manifest. He's not a manifestor. He's a generator. He has a different way to do it. Manifesting generators are a hybrid between a generator and a manifestor. I am a manifesting generator. There are probably several manifesting generators in this group. 32% of the population, manifesting generators. Busy, 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 busy. Great at multiple tasking. Easy to multiple task. Doesn't bother them to multiple task. Goes crazy if they don't multiple task. Can read a book, watch a movie, cook a meal, and do the laundry all at the same time, and all of them will come out perfectly, and I can tell you every word in the book. That's a manifesting generator. A generator, my husband, goes, can't you just watch the movie? Or can't you just read the book? Or can't you just go cook the meal? It drives him bananas, all of the layering that but I can't handle. My mind's going so fast and doing so much that I do all of those and I get it handled. 32% of the population. For me, I'm supposed to wait till something shows up in my environment. It's going to show up somehow. It may show up by a phone call from Bootsy saying, hey, are you want to do this? It may come up through, and then it could come up in many ways. It can show up as all of a sudden I keep seeing the same thing over and over. If I have something show up in my environment and I've not looked for it, and I have a book that shows up 4 times, or I have 4 people mention a book 3 or 4 times, I need to read that book, you guys, because I'm a manifesting generator. It showed up in my environment. I wasn't searching that book, but now I need to go do it. I check with my authority, and if I get a yes, then I inform you what I'm going to do and go on. That's a manifesting generator. A generator, they're very inviting and very attracting. 37% of the populations. They have the workhorse energy. They can work, 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 and they can burn out. Can't they, Bootsy? Yes, they can. But they keep working even though they're burned out. They can just burn themselves out. They burn out their motors. They burn it all out because they can keep on doing it. They can be unhappy and work that much their entire lives without ever finding the joy. And what it is for a generator is that they have that ability to work a whole lot. So when you love a generator, if you can't see them having joy in their lives, then try to help them find their joy and help them find what gives them a joy, because they need it, because they're burning out their motors if they're not. 30%, 7%. They also respond to what shows up in the environment, but they do one thing at a time. They're going to do it one, and they're going to get masterful at it. And when they're ready, they're going to go show it to the world. One thing about when they do that is that they are very strong at becoming masterful at it. They become very masterful. A manifesting generator is busy, busy, busy. They're going to skip some steps. They're going to do it. They need somebody to stop and say, hey, you missed one, and do that. Like if I work with somebody, I need somebody who's not a manifesting generator, because I need them to see the steps I missed on doing it. Projectors. I anticipate we have numerous projectors in this group. 20%, 20 to 21% of the population. It used to be 20, you guys, and it's moved it up to 21 with all the human design charts going, which I think is pretty cool. They feel the aura. If you know a projector, I had the privilege yesterday of having 2 sessions with 2 projectors. I was higher than a kite in excitement. They can read my aura, and the words that come out of their mouth were exactly what I needed to hear. They were both in high vibration projectors, very high vibration projectors. And the words that came out, I was doing their reading for them, but the words that came back through were exactly what I needed to move me to the next level. A projector can feel your energy and they know what you need. When they're in a high vibe, they're going to show the high vibe of it. When they're in a low vibe projector, they're going to show the low vibe of it. Projectors feel very bitter when they are in a low vibe. You can met projectors who are really bitter, probably, and you hear about the bitter person who's done something and they're just very bitter about everything and they look at it from that angle. But they literally can feel the energy around them. And if they are attracting high vibe people, when they tell you, if you ever ask a projector, and I did yesterday, I asked one of my projectors, what would you see that would be my next best step for me to do to help more people? And I literally got the most amazing information yesterday that was just unbelievable that I wouldn't have even thought of because she could feel my aura. I'm in a high vibe, she's in a high vibe, and she gave the information that I couldn't see for myself. Now, all you projectors out there, you can't do that for yourself. And it drives you bananas. And you have no understanding of why you know for everybody else. And you can tell for everybody else, but you can't know for yourself. Go find yourself a good projector friend. Go find you a friend who's a high vibe projector who can do it for you. Or get somebody who's really good at Akashic Records who can stop and help you get through those things that you need to do. Because projectors, it drives you bananas on why you know for everybody else and you don't know for yourself. I don't know for everybody else unless I ask. But a projector knows no matter what. The other thing about a projector is you also want to wait until you're an invitation. My clients yesterday I was working with on one called me and I had called the other one. I had one called and asked if we do a session, and the other one I already had a session with earlier in the early morning. And I invited them to share with me something that could be whatever. And I invited. They felt very inclined. If nobody invites you to share, and you don't get that they really genuinely want you to share, don't share, because all they're going to do is reject you and make you feel crappy. When as a projector, if you feel valued and successful, that is the most wonderful thing in the world for you. Value can come through money. Value can come through appreciation. Value can come through words. Value can come through a lot of things, but you have to feel valued and feel successful to be able to. So we going. Am I see my ear? Said something. Reflectors are 1% of the population, and in their human design chart, there are no centers colored. They have to wait 28 days. They feel the energy and the aura of everything around them. It's all good, but they have a whole different way of seeing the world, and they can actually reflect back who you are and what you're doing as well. They're a very special group for our world that we have. Generators wait to respond. Their energy is going to draw you to them. You're drawn to them. You'll be drawn to me. You'll be drawn to Bootsy because he's a generator. You will have that feeling of it, and it's sort of like when you're the right person to fit with that person, it's almost like a magnet pulls you to them. Like I hunted until I found him online. His energy pulled my energy in no matter what. And we do it. Manifesting generators, we wait to respond until something shows up in our environment. But when we do it, we always make better ways to do things than we had it before. That's what a manifesting generator will do. A manifester, they are literally the only ones who can totally initiate without anything. They can have this idea come up, and once they know that they know that they know that they know, and if you meet a generator, a manifester, you will find they will say, I know that I know. I know this is what I'm supposed to do. If they say I don't know yet, they're not supposed to do it. But if they say I know that I know, they can totally initiate it and start a new project. They are very innovative, they have new ideas come up, and they demonstrate new and awesome ways to experience the world. Projectors, please wait for your invitations. Put yourself a bracelet on your arm or a rubber band. Just put it on your arm and wait till somebody invites you. And I'll give you a great story. My best friend is a guy, and he's been my best friend since 1992. and he's a projector. We didn't know that all those years, didn't learn that until 8 years ago. And when I called first, the first thing I did after I got home from learning my stuff, I did his chart. He's a projector. I called him on the phone. I says, okay, Mike, here's your deal. You don't ever answer a question or you don't say what you think until somebody asks you a question. So put a rubber band on your arm and pop it. And if they haven't asked you a question, then you don't answer it. Now, he's a school counselor, you guys. He was a school counselor. So he goes to his office and he starts practicing on a Monday. So kids gets into his office for discipline or gets into his office for something, or a teacher comes in to complain about a student or whatever. And he sits and he calls me after the first week of school, that first week of school that he's in there. And he goes, Jeana, this is the most miraculous thing I've ever seen. Everybody should know this. I said, "No, only projectors." And he got really quiet and he said, I didn't say a word to anybody until they asked me a question. And when they asked me a question, then I answered and I started talking. And he said, every student did everything I needed. Every teacher, everything worked so perfect. He said, I'm going to try this with my family this weekend. He went to his family and he waited till they asked a question. And if they didn't ever ask him a question, he just left after a while. Took him almost 6 months with his family, but literally turned around the relationships with his family, changed his whole dynamics at school. And now his whole life is he waits until somebody invites him. And when somebody invites him and says, hey, would you, or could you, or would you help me? Then he does it. If they don't invite him, they don't want to know, because his aura needs an invitation, and they know that his aura needs invitation. Invitations show up in many ways. One of my other projectors not long ago had been talking about, and it'd be nice to buy a house, but you know how expensive houses are, and and they're in Georgia. And she was like, I just don't know. And so things had come along, and we had done an Akashic Records reading on it. And I said, well, I don't think it's out of the question, but it doesn't give me a clear answer. And an invitation will show up. So we go about 6 months, and she calls me on the phone one day, or texts me on the phone. She says, we have to talk right now. Can you talk? Can you talk? Can you talk? And I pick up the phone call. And she said, we just got a notice from our landlord that we have 60 days and they're selling the house we're renting and we have no place to live. And she's like totally freaked out. She's with her human design chart, her stuff in there. And she was very quiet. And I said, oh my gosh, what a wonderful invitation the universe just sent. Now you can go look for a house. And it's going to show up and it's going to be perfect. And I was all excited and thrilled and pumped because I said, this house is going to show up. She's like, you have a lot of confidence in these invitation things, don't you? And I said, yeah. So I said, okay, do you know a realtor? She goes, yeah. I said, do you trust them? And she said, yes. So we went through, she calls the realtor. She tells them I said, get your budget. Don't go over it. She puts her budget out there. They go over it. So it was on a Tuesday. Thursday comes up and this house pops up on the market on Friday morning. It went on the market on Thursday, and on Friday morning it popped up. She and the realtor called, says, we had to go look at this house. So they went over to look at the house. They looked at the house. They made an offer. Didn't make a full price offer because it was over their budget. Made the offer they could make. She called me and asked me. We cleared all the energy on it. Honest to God, we cleared the energy around it. They got the house for about a whole lot less, probably 50,000 less than the house was worth. But the invitation showed up and all of a sudden it worked. And now their house payments are less than their rent payments. And their utilities are less, and blah, 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 blah. So projectors, it sounds awful to say, but wait for those invitations when they come up. Reflectors, you're going to have a lunar cycle. And if you have any reflectors in here, we do that really carefully because it helps them understand it. Generators. So a generator chart is always going to have this little box in the middle colored in. It's called the sacral. The throat is never covered in. So for Bootsy, he has this one colored, but the throat is not, or it doesn't have a motor to it. So you usually can say, this one here is you have this energy right here, but there's not a motor to the throat. And motors to the throat are sort of a big deal. They give it energy to that. Say that it's a motor, just like on a motor on a car. So you can have something and you can try to make it work, but it works much better when the motor's got running with it. So throats work much better when you have a motor with them. Motors are the will center and the emotional solar plexus over here. The sacral is a motor that will go up there, and the root is a motor. So somehow they can get up there. It could come from here to there, and that would be able to show a motor. But generators in general, They're going to have this, but anything else can be defined except there's no motor to that throat. Manifesting generators. Manifesting generators have the sacral defined. Whoops, I moved my doggone thing. Motors defined, and then it moves over and it goes up to the throat. So if you've got this little one right here where it goes from the sacral and the throat, or it could go straight up, or it could go around, but there's going to be a motor to that throat. And that's what a manifesting generator has. Manifestors. Manifestors have the throat defined and they have a motor to it, but they do not have their sacral defined. So when you don't have a sacral defined, projectors and manifestors and reflectors, you need to rest more because you don't have workhorse energy. You want to stop when you get tired, take a deep breath, if you can, put your feet up for 15 minutes and put on some reality transurfing stuff to listen to and listen to it for 15 minutes and let it cut off and then get up and then you can go back to work. But saying that to you is to realize you don't have workhorse energy and you want to stop and rest. Give yourself the respect to do that. Projectors. Projectors do not have a defined sacral. Many projectors may have just 2 centers defined. Some may have a whole bunch of centers defined. But the big thing is the sacral is never defined, no matter what. The sacral will not be defined on it when they get ready to do that. And there won't be a motor. There's several little things on that. Whoops, I got down there twice. The reflector has no centers defined when you get ready to do it. Here's a general concept of it. The emotional, these are the authorities that we have. So there's a bunch of different kinds of authorities. There's an emotional wave, which is 50% of the population. So 50% of the people on this call probably have an emotional wave. The sacral is 31.9, which is right over here. The sacral authority. That's this. Let me go back up here, right here. That's this little box in the middle, right here in the center. That's the sacral. But this over here is not defined. So they have sacral energy when that box is colored, but they don't have this one over here colored. So this one over here is emotional. If you have this box colored, you have an emotional wave and you have an emotional authority. Respect it, love it, appreciate it. There's some really cool things about it. Cool things about it are, number one is it give yourself enough trust to not have to make decisions about big life topics immediately. Give yourself 3 to 5 days, give yourself longer if you don't get a yes inside. And I do teach that how to get to those yeses and to understand what they are. If it's white over here, and you're in a generator or a manifesting generator, and this is white on this particular one, this little emotional solar plexus is just white, that means you have a sacral energy. You have an automatic yes and automatic no. You may feel your body go forward. You may feel your body go backwards. You may find yourself going like this, or you may find yourself going like this. You'd be like, uh-huh, or uh-uh. And you may catch yourself doing it. Watch Bootsy. Watch him all the time. When you guys are talking, you'll see him and he'll try to catch himself not to do it. But his literally, when he hears you say something that's a yes, his whole body like goes like up a little and up. Like he has this movement that he feels your guide saying yes to him. And that's truth in that. Or if there's something that's coming up and he needs to say it to you in a little different way, you can watch his body almost go back slightly. I'm giving your telltale secrets away.
I'll never play poker
a little
again.
bit, and he's going to tell you something to gently lift you into another way of seeing that particular topic because it's a no instead of a yes. Because he has a white emotional solar plexus. So it's that part is there. Those of you who are projectors, there's splenic and mental and different ones. If you have a splenic, you get an automatic big hit yes or a big hit no. If you have mental, it's like it's yes or it's not. And if you get one and you don't say, I don't get a yes and I don't get a no, then that's a maybe. So what do you think a maybe is? A maybe's a no. If it's not a yes, I have pushed Bootsy to learn to get to at least a 95% or more on any yes before he proceeds. I want an A+ on that topic before he goes forth. And if he better call me and ask me if I can release the blocks that are causing it not to be 100% before he even starts, because it's a big deal. So you want to be able to do that. There are different ones that are there. The lunar ones are just 1%, and the all of reflectors just all do that one when they have it. So in their emotional, it's you have a wave. So you have it. So give yourself 3 to 5 days and ask yourself the exact same question. So write the question in your text message to yourself and say, like, am I supposed to buy this program am I supposed to buy blah, blah, blah program or something? Or am I supposed to go to blah, blah, blah retreat? How's that sound? Am I supposed to go to blah, blah, blah retreat? And you get a yes that day because the person you're with is all excited about it and you're picking up their energy and you want to go. But you get out, you're not supposed to make a decision yet. It's a big decision if it's big money to you. And if $1,000 is big money to you, then it's a big decision and you're not going to do it yet. So you're going to turn around and then you're going to go, oh, okay. So go that night and say, am I supposed to go to this retreat? And that night you might get, maybe. And the next day, am I supposed to go to this retreat? And then you go, I'm going to research it some more. And you research some more. And you get yourself 3 to 5 days. And about the fourth day, third or fourth day, all of a sudden it's like, I really am supposed to go to this retreat. This is going to be a good thing for me. And you can explain all the reasons why, and you know it. Then you can do the retreat. But if you get a no, it just may not be, maybe the retreat's not this year. Maybe it's not, you're supposed to do it ever. Maybe it's supposed to be a different retreat you're supposed to go to, but you're supposed to check out a different one. Give yourself the honor of honoring your emotional wave if you have color on the small triangle to the right on your chart. Honor it and ask more questions. And if you guys want just a whole session on emotional waves and how to live through them and to trust them, when you have an emotional wave, you second guess yourself a zillion times. What you will find is you second guess and second guess and second guess yourself because you'll make a decision and then it won't be the decision because you made it so fast and then it's not right and then you second guess it. And so that's part of the part that goes. If you have the sacral, you get an automatic yes and automatic no. And those of us who have it, we have to learn to be quiet sometimes and not tell the world our automatic yes or no because our person with the emotional wave needs to get through their wave before they get to their part. Also, those with the sacral that have the white part defined, and this is my biggest thing I taught Bootsy overall, was that when you have that white emotional solar plexus, that small triangle is not colored on the right, that you pick up all the emotions of all the people around you and you amplify them 70 to 100%. So you feel them stronger in your body than they feel them in their body. And you will do anything to please them all so you won't feel their pain because it is 70 to 100% harder in your body than in their body. And it's one of those things to be able to do, and you end up people pleasing. And if you can stop and identify, I feel this huge need to do this because of whatever, like to people please, and you can say, is that even my energy? And we can teach a whole thing on that too. We can go through that. Splenic energy, you get a big hit yes and a big hit no. For projectors, you usually have had it happen once or twice in your life where it was so huge you will remember it. And if you can learn to go back to how that felt, then you can get that one really easily. All of these are pretty straightforward to do on it. The emotional authority one is really important because 50% of the population, and it's that little triangle right there, and if it's colored in, you have a wave. Don't make an immediate decision. Give yourself 3 to 5 days. And if you still don't know in 3 to 5 days, give yourself longer because it's still a no if it's not a yes. And when you get ready. Profiles, this is my favorite thing. This is what I really enjoy talking about a lot. And profile numbers are what come on your chart. And there are 6 of them. There are 6 profile numbers. Profile number 1, if you have profile number 1 on your chart, it is researcher, investigator, dig deep, dig deep. They have to dig so deep. Would you like to know about Bootsy Green, who has a 1 in his profile? He has to dig and understand it completely before he can teach it. He cannot teach it till he totally understands it and he digs deep. He may find a million ways to dig deep into it and get it there. And it's probably why I went to him to learn reality transurfing because he has a 1 and he dug deep to get it and to explain it and to find a zillion ways to get it to me. And he can explain it to me in the words I need to hear it because he can pick that up. As I say that to you, that is a really strong quality. Number 2, line 2s, integrate. So if you have a line 2 in your deal, you take information in, you have to sit with it a while. And when you're ready and you understand it, then you'll share it. But you have to sit with it. So all of the people who have twos, they integrate stuff, but they don't talk about it immediately. So I taught school for a long time, and I feel terrible about all the years. At the end of each class, I would have this list of, here's what we went over today, and I'd ask these questions to the students. Every two in the room, I treated them with much discourtesy because they had to integrate what I had taught before they could talk about it. So asking them the following day, hey, can anybody talk about blah, blah, blah? Twos could talk about it. So many people will think a two is an introvert when realistically, they're just not ready to talk. You're not ready to talk yet. Respect your twos and love your twos. Twos need to reflect on it and understand it before they're going to speak about it. If you are married to a two and you're a three something with your number, and you want to have this communications topic about something you disagree on, a two's not ready. And you're pushing them to do something that they are not ready and they haven't integrated yet enough to do. So learning the profile numbers to somebody can help you live with them more effectively and understand them. Threes, experimenters, explorers. I'll tell you what, those of you who are threes, just like me, as a three, you feel your whole life you failed at everything because you tried all this stuff and then you did it. So one thing I can tell you about a three is if you picked up a book to read, this is one of the few books I actually read all of. But if I picked up a book to read and I picked up this book and I had to buy this book because I felt it and I got a big yes on my authority, but then I got it home and I read 2 chapters of it and I put it away, did I waste my money? And most people would say, yeah, you did, but not for a three, because a three only needed those 2 chapters. A three will know what they need and they should only take what they need. And don't force yourself to go absorb everything in it if you didn't need it all, because a three didn't come here to get everything. They came in here to experiment and explore. It is a little bit hard when you have a three who is a chef and cooks because they can't explain how they do their recipes. It's really tough for them. And they never, my husband's a generator and he is a 4-6, but he is a strong fourth. He needs that recipe to be written exactly. And I have never in my life put anything down exact. And I have never even, I don't even use a teaspoon or a tablespoon to measure. I just put it in my hand and sort of like put it in because I know. That's because I'm a three and I can test and trial and I'm comfortable. Fours are never comfortable testing and trying. Fours. Okay, fours are great networkers and community builders. They also like the world to be safe. They want to know what's going to happen next. So a four is someone who they have a car and somebody comes to their house and they think it's probably time to buy. I'll give my example. I have a truck, an old truck out here. My truck is 2002. Had it a long time. We've used it a lot. We still are going to use it. But we're thinking about selling my car and that truck, and my husband has an SUV, and then buying a truck that's newer because the 2002 truck is a 2002 truck. And it has a little wear and tear. And I have had probably 5 people come knocking at my door asking if they can buy my truck. They say, it's been sitting out there. It doesn't move very much. We'd like to buy your truck. And it's really interesting because last time somebody came, I was like, maybe I'll sell my truck. Or maybe I just go ahead and sell it. And I was getting ready to go name a price. My husband said, wait. He said, we've got one more big job to do in the backyard and we're going to need a truck. So we can't sell the truck yet. And I'm like, yeah, but we're thinking about doing this other thing and we could do it and we can make do with one vehicle for a 4. He's a 4. He can't sell that truck until he has another truck, you guys. And the other truck's got to be in the driveway. And then I can call him on the phone and say, hey, you want to buy this truck? Because a 4 needs that other thing sitting there and safe. A 3, no way. Go for it. I don't even have to have a car in the driveway. I can call an Uber and get to the car dealership and get me another vehicle. But I just made me extra $1,000 on this one by selling it at that moment to those people. And I met them at the tag agency and we signed it over and insurance is gone. That's a 3, you guys. If you're a 3, you can do that kind of stuff. And a 4 cannot. Honor and love your 4s because they keep you safer. Because you'll jump the gun and they won't. So just love your 4s the best you can because that's what they do. But they also build great communities that they're safe in. For many of you, maybe 4s in here because this is a safe community. It's a big deal to be in a safe community. If you're not in a safe community, you're going to go away and get out of that community. And you build your own. 5s. This is also Owen. Natural leader. He's a karmic mirror to those that they meet. People meet them and they see themselves as the possibilities of what they could be. And they either really love a five or they really don't like a five. And I think the first time I said that to Bootsy, he just looked at me and his eyes got this big around. And we were on a deal, and I said, and he goes, "Oh my gosh, that's so true." He says, "They either love you or they just don't care for you." And he says, "It may not be they hate you, but they just don't care for you." And he says, "I don't get it. I feel," because he can see as a karmic mirror what their potential is. Five also believes everybody can be saved, and they'll try to. Like they want to save the world because they're a karmic mirror and they see the potential in everyone. Those people who are in a low vibration and are not at the right place at that time, they see you and they see, oh my gosh, they're going to try to change me or they're going to try to do this. So if you've got a five in your profile, respect the fact that some people can't handle your aura because you see their high potential, but they're not ready to see it, or they don't want to handle it, or it's not the right one. It's a big thing. They're also wonderful teachers and natural leaders. Six has three distinct phases when they do all their stuff on their things. And those phases on it, the six phases, you're 30, up to your 30, you're three. And then from 30 till about 50, you just observe and watch and get really much better. And then when you after 50, you go into that third phase of becoming the wise sage. And if you are a six and you're getting pulled to do something very different and you're over the age of 50, your six is telling you you're supposed to be doing it different. And it's going to tug at you and tug at you and tug at you and tug at you until you go do it. And I'm a six and I lived through fighting that and not going there to get there. You have a cross of incarnation, and it's the very top numbers, four numbers on your chart, wherever your chart is. That's your top cross of incarnation. I have a bunch of stuff on them when you want to learn about them. They're sort of cool to understand. Centers, there's 9. They're all in the same spots, and all the numbers on every chart are in the exact same spots on every chart. There's 64 numbers. The head is got ideas and stuff. If you have an open head, like your crown is white, then you hear the thoughts of others, but you don't realize you do it. And if it's defined, you have a real defined way of seeing of the world. The ajna is the third eye. It's where our beliefs are and our vision. And if it's open, you literally can take in everybody else's visions and thoughts, and then you can create something new. But you also get mixed up on what's yours. The throat, if it's open, is that you can get all of these different ways to do stuff, but getting your own out is a little harder to find. So for Bootsy, it took him a while to find his voice. He took him a while to find that he has multiple ways to get stuff out. But verbally for him is really good. I have a generator that I work with, and she does a lot of writing. People can read her writing, and they're pulled into it. For him, if he speaks it and people hear it, and they visually see him with their third eye, all of a sudden they can envision and encompass that experience. This is the G center right here, is that triangle, and it is your identity. If it's open, you've picked up everybody else's identities, and it's really tough when you're little. I think of the little kid who is at school and they've liked soccer and wanted to play soccer. And they got to school and a bunch of the other kids play baseball. So all of a sudden they come home and say, I want to play baseball now. And then something happens and they do something different, and somebody else comes to school and they get to be friends with them. And that person likes basketball and then goes home and says, Mom, I want to be and play in basketball. That's a person with an open identity. It's white because they pick up the identities of other people and they go try all those things on until they figure out their own. They're really wonderful and understanding when somebody needs to be loved and when somebody needs to be held on it. They give you a lot of your purpose and path of what you do. This small one right here called the ego is the will center. For if it's defined, you have a very strong willpower. Mine's totally open. There's nothing touches it on mine. And only 8% of the population have it defined. But when you meet somebody with a defined will center and yours is open, which a majority of ours are, then all of a sudden, that's why when you have an emotional wave, you don't buy that day because you don't know if they have that. You want to be sure that you're doing this because you want to, not because their ego center says you should buy, and not coming from that place. Their ego may do it from a good place, but it still means you don't know if their willpower is driving you. I like to go be around somebody with a defined ego. I have a friend with one. When I am finding myself procrastinating, I need to go get around her because she's going to propel me. I'm going to pick up that willpower energy, and all of a sudden I'm going to go forth and do a bunch of stuff. That emotional solar plexus, I already talked about. If it's white, you find yourself being a people pleaser until you learn how to identify what's yours and not. If it's brown, then you find yourself second guessing yourself until you learn how to do that. The sacral is your workhorse. This is your fear center over here. Fear. And this also is where your intuition lies. Some of you have gate 57. You happen to have Bootsy, who has a double gate 57, which is the strongest gate of intuition in the chart. And he has a double in his chart. On the conscious and unconscious side, it's very strong. And in that is that some people have over here is that when it's open, you pick up the fears of others. And when it's defined, you sort of know where you are. And we go through, if you do a regular reading, to explain each of those. And the bottom is your root, and it is all about your pressure to do. And you have a lot of pressure to do. So let me go down here. So I was going to go through, there's more on these center things. So I just want to give you an example of, this is BJ. This is a real person. And so this person has an open crown, so it picks up all the thoughts of others, picks up the vision of others and amplifies them. Has had to figure out what's his own thoughts and what her own thoughts and what are her visions. She's a defined throat. So she's a manifesting generator because it comes from the sacral over to the spleen and then up to the throat. So those are channels that are defined. She also has gate 57, so she has strong intuition. So if I were coach working with her, I would probably get her to do a whole lot more and trusting her uh-huhs, because she has a lot of those more than likely, or with her head. And where she goes, if she ends up with some of these other parts, she'll end up with the defined will. She knows who she is, so she doesn't have to worry about that. And she doesn't have a pressure to do so much. If this were open, she would. She is an emotional, so she should wait 3 to 5 days on big decisions. That's not what you eat tonight. That's not what you do. But if you're going to buy a car and that's a big expense in your life, then you would wait till you made sure you knew what you're going to do. If big decisions for some people are different than they are for others. To me, spending $500 is a big decision. If it's a $500 decision and I had an emotional wave, I need to wait through the wave. If I had a $27 decision, I don't have to wait through the wave. That's not a big decision for me. But if $27 is a big decision in your budget, then you would wait through your wave. Did I make sense on that for you guys? Because waves are a really important thing to respect and love. Anyway, she's a time bender, manifesting generator, and she's an emotional authority that she has on that. If she's happy, she's very satisfied. That means things are going well. And when she's frustrated, something's not going well, and she needs to look and see sort of what it is. Here is D. D is an orchestrator or a projector for those of you who are projectors, and yours may look different. So D, this says on here, I have the wrong chart. I'm going to have to do, I didn't put the chart in. So sorry. Messed that up. This is DJ right here. This is an orchestrator. This is not defined. The sacral's not defined. And the emotional solar plexus is not defined. So this is a splenic authority. So this person has like a big yes or a big no inside of their body. Look at all these open centers. Pick up all the thoughts of others, amplify them 70%. All the visions of others and amplify them. Probably it's not good to watch bad movies or scary movies that upsets them. Throat, they pick up everybody else's stuff and amplify it 70%. So it makes it like my spouse has this open throat. When he gets upset, he gets super loud. He doesn't realize it because he amplifies. Has an open identity center. They've had to really work at figuring out who they are and what they want to be. The sacral, they pick up the workhorse energy from others, but if they're not with others, they get exhausted and that can burn out. Their ego, they pick up willpower from others, so being around. And then they have the open emotional, so they want to people please because they pick up all the emotions other people feel and they feel it inside their bodies. This person has 2 defined centers, the root and the spleen. At least they aren't picking up the fears. But the thing that's awesome about this one is this person would be a great counselor. This person would be wonderful at understanding where somebody's had heartbreak, a a coach of some sort, helping on relationships. This person can also see new things to do. When you figure out what's yours on all of these centers, like this is mine, and I'm not picking that up from somebody else, then you can stop and build a different, newer vision that's better. Like it comes out of you that's unique versus like if it were defined, you have a defined way it has to show up. It can only show up this way. So if this person, say, wanted to become a relationship coach or help males work through relationships more effectively, then this person would be really good at it. They stay grounded. They don't have a lot of fears. They would be able to feel the emotions of their clients. They'd be able to like understand when it's really hard for that client to get the willpower to go do it. They'd understand that they're having a hard time. They would understand what that client felt and would be able to help that client work through it really quickly. Open centers are not bad. Defined centers are not bad. They just define, they give us a different way of a flavor of how we see the world. This person picks up everybody else's stuff and has to decipher it. I think of it as a sifter with flour. You got to decipher out the stuff that's not yours and just keep your own. But knowing that all that other stuff is there is super helpful for coaches. It's super helpful to do all this stuff. Coaches can do it without it, but the person with just two, you will also find that they are highly triggered by some of the chaos around them. A person with that many open centers feels the energy of everybody else before I would, because I don't have that many centers that are not defined. This is JAR, and he's a generator. He's a 3-5, so he's experimented a bunch in his life. He's going to be a natural leader at whatever he does. He has a lot of workhorse energy. He has that emotional way to wade it through. He has good grounding, so he knows what he is. He picks up the fears of everybody around him, and he's got to figure out what's theirs and what's not. He has gate 57, and it looks like he has it twice because it's black and white, which means he has a really strong intuition, and he's got to learn to trust it. And he has a defined way of how he sees the world should be. And this part right up here, the crown and the ajna, he has a defined way of what is success and what's happiness, because that's open. When you're open up there, it's a little different. He has a defined way of how he speaks. And the reason he's not a manifesting generator is there's no motor right here to this throat. This is not a motor. So he would have to have this one or this one or this one coming up to get that. So he has a defined throat, which means he can speak, but there's no motor to it. So it burns out once he starts trying to talk. So he has to work through that. This is CD, who's a manifesting generator, and it's got this connection here, open crown, which means that if you go to Walmart, you hear what everybody's thinking, and you don't really realize you didn't when you were doing it. And you have to walk away and recognize what's yours. But as a defined way of what success looks like, a defined way of what something looks like, has an easy way of speaking or saying what they need to say. This emotional solar plexus means that they have that wave, and they have the workhorse energy, and they know who they are, but they have a lot of fear. This person will pick up fears easily until they can identify that's not my fear, but they're fearful. I have this open. I can tell you right now, I can pick up everybody's fears of this is too hard, or this is whatever, or something that comes up, because that's where it shows. The will center is very open, so they pick up everybody else's willpower if they're around it, and they need to be super careful to not do willpower of somebody else's, to be sure it's yours. And with that emotional wave, they have permission to wait till they get away from that person. So if you live with somebody who has a defined will center, some people know it. I have a client that I have that she's a projector with 2 centers. She has a child with all 9 centers and a defined will center. Her husband is a generator, and he has 4 centers, and her son is a generator, and he has like 3 centers. This child who has all the centers defined with that will center runs that household. Her willpower goes through, and everybody just gives in because her willpower, because they can feel what will happen from her energy. When we started training and helping them to understand that's her willpower, that's not yours, you're just doing that to pacify her, that's not good for her in the long run, totally changed the dynamics of that household. Did that make sense? A little bit? I hope. This is Owen, you guys. This is his chart. So when I talked about a coach earlier, he's number 1, he's a 5, so he's a great coach. a visionary leader and resource person. He digs deep. He has an open ear so he can feel all of your emotions and he knows how to help you. He feels what is lacking in willpower and can give you different ways like journaling or different formats to get your own willpower built up. He's recognized how hard it is to find who you are and your identity, and he can help you do that because he's been there and experienced it. And because of that, now he knows that you're where you are on it. His throat's not defined, but he has some good channels and he's learned how to connect with certain people so that all of a sudden he has a channel like right here. Like when he connects with me, he always makes a comment. I always feel so much better after we talk just a little bit, or we just text. I have gate 20. So all of a sudden, everything right here is all attached. I have gate 4629. So all of a sudden, he's connected all the way down right through here, and everything's connected. So he knows who he is, he knows how to speak, and he picks that all up. So he's got a lot of sacral energy, so he can work himself and burn himself out if he's not careful. And this motor will burn him, and he's learning to get there. But he doesn't have a lot of fear. I have so much envy. I love to get in his energy because when I get in his energy and he doesn't have fear, because my fear is so big, even though I amplify others, I've learned to stop and get it. I don't feel fear. I can go do anything when I finish. So that's where his chart is and where it comes from. He has a couple of things in there that's pretty big deal is that he's got that gate 57 twice, which is intuition. He has this gate 50, which is all about caring. He has gate 34, which is right here, which is the strongest gate in the whole human design, which is the gate of power. And it's all about and he can't handle anybody who's, I'm going to call it egotistical, because his gate 34 is all about the power of doing what's right. So it means in the high vibration of it. His gate 34 is also in Uranus, and it is designed where he's supposed to like do this big stuff in the spiritual world. So when you look at human design, you can look at the layers of just seeing where your manifestor, generator, manifesting generator, reflector, projector, you can see where your decision-making part is, and you can understand your profile. And those are the three biggies to be able to understand it first. And if you don't, get a good coach who can teach you how to do it, no matter what. And I am happy to come back and do some specialty things on each of those if we want to, that are probably not every one of them, but some of them that are the bigger ones, like emotional, and to be able to do that, to get there. So
Wow.
I'm
I'm
gonna
so
ask
blown
questions,
away.
you guys.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
went
yeah. So we can
way
open it
longer
up
than I meant
for
to. I'm so
everybody.
sorry. I get so enthused about it. It's
No,
just,
you did. That was amazing. Oh my God. Like
I
I'm
don't hear you,
just,
Bootsy.
I'm blown
We
away.
don't
Yeah.
hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? Oh, hold on. Let me,
Or I don't hear you. Maybe that's me.
do you guys
Let me
hear
I
me?
can
stop.
I can hear him.
Okay. All right. I was just saying,
I
I'm
can hear
It
you.
must be me.
super blown away. Just so impressed.
Huh.
Yeah, but we can definitely do some
Stop share
questions.
Uh,
audio.
I'm not sure what the
Okay,
little
can
hand thing is.
Can you hear me now?
speakers are microphone speaker. Let me try it again right quick.
Okay. All right.
I can hear you now, so try it now.
Okay. You got me now?
Yeah, my
Okay.
earbud stopped. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they do that sometimes. All right. Well, cool deal. Cool deal. Awesome. So everyone could hear you for the record. You just couldn't hear me for that second. But yeah, if we want to do some questions, guys, let's
Please.
we can ask. We got at least a little bit of time. How much time do you have, Gina? Just so I'm clear.
I gave myself 2 hours for total.
Okay. All right. Well,
So
that's
I've got time to answer. They may not want to stay that long, but
okay.
I can. So
I will stay I'll stay that long too. Let's do it. Let's blow it out. Fuck it. All right, cool. So if you guys have questions, yeah, let's just raise hands or whatever and I'll bring you up and you can ask Gina. This was amazing. Like I learned so much this time. Like I think very many of the times I'm just like, trying to understand myself, I think. And then, yeah, so now I can kind of understand a little bit more about other people's charts, and I really appreciate that insight. Okay, Yvette, go ahead, and whenever you're ready.
Hi. I just want to say that I'm new to this group. I'm not, so I literally joined like 2 days ago because I've been trying to understand reality transurfing a little better. And when Jeana spoke, I could not stop crying. Like the whole time she told her story, I still, like, I just think about it. And I don't know why it touched something so deep in me. Um, I am not new to human design. I'm a 5-1 Spooning projector. I discovered it last year and it has changed my life. I have chills all over me as I say this. I also love Gene Keys and a little of astrology. A little bit of everything has really helped me see why everything. um, and I really resonated when you said you can't see for yourself, so you can see for everybody around you. Get a good projector friend or someone, to tell you what's ahead of for you. And when you said for Bootsy, you clear a lot of blocks, that's kind of where I want to ask, because that's not clear to me. So basically, I can see my road back, I can see my road ahead and alignment, but I have a lot of things. I don't want to get ideas in my head, but I do feel like I have a lot of things just blocking. I don't know if it's protection or whatever. And I'm super interested in know a little bit more about that. And about spleen, you're my person. I have chills all over. I feel like I was meant to connect with you. And
But
I don't say this.
when you do an individualized reading with somebody, go through the chart and can explain. And literally, I usually go to my first certification after Motion Code was Akashic Records, and it's fairly simple for me to do. And I can go in and I usually end up reading somebody. And when Bootsy says it changes him each time, it's because we go into what he needs at that moment, at that time, because he wasn't ready for some of the stuff we did today that we talked about. He couldn't have handled the first time we did a reading. For him to totally get the fact that he had spent his entire life doing whatever he could do to make everybody happy in his whole world. And he would do anything to have them not be unhappy, anything to have them not be unhappy. And he had to start learning how to figure out what was his and what was theirs and then let go of theirs. So I do energy work on top of human design. So mine is much more than just human design. I do Eastern modality stuff. I use emotion code, I use body code, belief code, alignment code. I'm Topican healing I'm certified and all these things. I do huge amounts of pendulum. I have a whole lot of my own stuff. And I will tell you right now, I usually teach it. Is that fair to say, Bootsy? I teach you how to use it yourself.
Of course, yeah.
You may not want to do all of it, but it can teach you how to do it, to like release. But you have to figure out what's yours and what's not yours. So getting your really good yes or no is the good thing. And I use the pendulum. Yeah. And I use a pendulum for a positive reason, not a negative reason.
Right.
But the pendulum I use, a physical pendulum, to be able to stop. And for projectors, I encourage all the projectors to use it. And when you are having a hard time trusting your sacral or your emotional wave, you can pick up your pendulum and go with it as well. I literally have a pendulum that is for I have mentor clients that are I just do mentoring. Like they spend a year and we work together for a year, 4 day, five, every week, at least for 2 hours. And then we have lots of other stuff. And they each have their own, when I'm working with them, I have a pendulum that's just for them and they have a pendulum to work with. So I'm encouraging you to get a pendulum and do a little training with it. And Bitsy, if we need to, we can do a small pendulum training on here. And because it is helpful to learn how to use it properly and how to do things. So I'm glad it resonated with you. I will say, as a projector, is knowing and finding some other projectors is really helpul. And having someone who loves.
My mom is a projector, but she's very, very conditioned. She's actually a 3-5.
Oh, she's a 3-5. So
yeah.
finding somebody who's learned to not judge and to not go there, because for projectors, it's really hard. For the rest of us to understand what a projector goes through is difficult. I almost get teary every time I think about it, because my projectors know, like they know. And it's like Mike. Mike spent his whole life telling me what I should do from 92. when 1992 when I met him. And he spent his whole life up until 8 years ago when I turned 60. He spent all of that time, 30 something years, telling me what I needed to go do. And I loved him anyway, but I really loved him once I knew he's a projector. And once I said, now he waits until I ask him. Like I can ask him and he waits and I take it. I take his advice now. I never took his advice before. I just blew it off because I didn't invite it most of the time. So saying that to you is to stop it. It's they're truly personalized and there's layers, and to be able to love yourself the way you're designed and to not be critical of it is really, really good. It's a positive thing. But
Yeah.
thank you for asking. And it's really easier when there's a chart to see, to be able to go through it. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
right.
you.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice to meet you, Yvette. Welcome to the
Nice to meet you. Thank
very
you.
cool. Glad to
And,
have you.
and when you look at when you do your human design and you see your profile numbers, that's how you see the world when you go through and do it. So if you can turn it to the high vibration of what that profile number is, and stop and say, now I want to go there and see this from the higher, because you can, when a person is a 4, they can either stay in safety mode or they can move into the fact that I just need to find my good community that I resonate with, that's I'm safe with. If they can let go of the fact and just say safety is a big deal to me and I'm okay with that, it makes it much
Yeah.
easier to do.
Oh yeah, I'm a
Thank you for
5-1,
asking.
and I've been struggling with the same of just trying to save the whole world, but I'm definitely moving away from that.
You know, literally, you're in the right place as a 5-1 with Bootsy, because he totally struggled with this because he had to dig so deep. And he asked himself, why do I have to dig so deep to know this? And you have to finally, sometimes I think I may have given him permission to go ahead and go on with it. You do know enough, it's okay. And you can learn more later. And then he adds on the layers. But sometimes you need that from someone else to be able to do it. So thank you
Yeah.
for asking that question. It's a really great question, to be honest. So
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Yvette. And so Warwick, go on ahead, unmute yourself and let us
Sure.
have it.
Alrighty. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for the intro. I've done some human design kind of work in the past, and it normally ends up in me being totally overwhelmed with information. So so part of my problem is that my mom has passed, and my dad has absolutely no recollection of my actual birth time, and I was born in South Africa, so trying to get a hold of a hospital that actually knows is like impossible. So the time of day is a little kind of wishy-washy for me, and
mhm.
I have looked at a couple different charts. Do you know of a way to kind of dial in that?
Well, the way I do it is that number one is I go in and I run the chart, and then I run all the ranges that are possible for that day. And it'll
Hmm.
usually give me up to 12 different ranges that are available. So it'll do it in like 2 hour sequences. It'll run every chart for that day and every 2 hours, and it'll run it.
Hmm.
Then I go through and I look at the profile numbers. And as I look at those profile numbers, I'll stop and say, I'll usually ask the client, number one on it is that, like, if you dig deep, or if you're a trial and error person. You see what I'm getting at? You sort of know some of them. You can sort of see, like you realize as a person, and I would send a list of questions to them or get on a Zoom call and just ask them some questions to stop and say, where is it? And it's often helpful if there's somebody who loves them a lot, who loves them, not just because they're a friend or whatever, but they truly love them for who they are, can stop and look at those questions, because they can often tell you that is, oh yeah, you take things in and integrate it and you don't talk until you speak. My niece is a 6'2", and when we were doing her chart, I knew what time she was born approximately because of the fact that she was my niece, and I knew when she was born it was between 10 and noon, but I didn't know the exact time. And her mother is not into any of this and is never going to tell her, and it's not on her birth certificate. And so when we ran her chart, we went through and I ran it, and then I asked her the questions, but she totally got the fact that she was a 2, but she did not get her 6. And I could see her 6 real easily because she experimented and tried all these different things all the way through until she hit 30. And when she hit 30, she had a whole big Saturn return that was a blow up that was beyond blow ups. She was definitely a 6, and it was easy to see it. So her options on the chart gave me a lot of information. And then you can ask questions about it, and that person can usually figure it out.
Gotcha.
So,
I do biogeometry work, and I think I dialed in the correct kind of time using that.
uh-huh.
A general challenge that I have found, specifically like a conflict that I ran into with someone who is a projector, and comes from this like a strong belief system that they need to be invited. But what I found was that some projectors, or specifically this particular person, it almost was using it as a crutch
Excuse.
for lack of initiative, right? So it
Right.
was so they were a business partner, and we founders of a business generally take initiative, right? And so like after a while, it's like, what is going on here? Why am I doing all the work? It's like, well, I'm a projector. I need to be invited. And I'm like,
Well,
okay, well,
and I
that's
will
fine.
say on it, I want to give credit where credit is due, because you're correct that not using it as a crutch or as an excuse is not the right way to do it. And there are lots of ways invitations show up. So my projector, that one that when she had talked about wanting to have a home and do all this and all the stuff that went with it. Her husband's a generator. There had been like flyers show up at the house, all kinds of stuff and things that went on it. And I did a relationship chart with them, and their relationship chart pretty much showed up. So for her, she needed that invitation, but her generator husband had seen things show up in the environment. So that was a relationship. So when the universe basically took away their rent house and said, you don't have a place to live at all in 60 days, she couldn't even see that as an invitation. But it was a biggest invitation I've ever seen, is that you're just invited to go look for another place to live some way. And when I reworded it, it totally changed her process of it. So your projector may not be in the highest vibration, and using it as an excuse isn't that. There is a book that I would encourage you to read, or him if that person is still in your life, and it is called Being an Empowered Projector. And
Okay.
Evelyn Levinson wrote it. Do you know it?
I don't actually.
She's also a great reader. And I am going to say that I know her personally. And I learned a lot about projectors through my retreats with her that would last 8 to 10 days of experiencing a projector that was in high vibration for 8 to 10 days, and how she was able to show initiative because her invitations came in so many variety of ways, and this book talks about it. Is that helpful for you? Am I answering your question?
Yeah, no, that is helpful, especially because my wife is also a projector, and we're always I don't have I've got all of my centers are filled except for two, and I'm a 5/1 as well, so I
So
generally
7
drive
centers
from.
defined. So what, how many centers does your projector wife have?
She has, I'll say now, she has four.
4. So for you know, she goes somewhere, she can feel overwhelmed in being in another place until she figures out it's not her energy, just to be fair. Whereas you can
Right.
go in and only those 2 centers do you really pick up their other energy stuff on it. And so for you, learning to recognize that it takes a little bit more for her to figure out what's hers and what's not, or if she doesn't feel good somewhere, that's because that energy is not good for her energy field. The other
Mm.
book I would say to everyone it's called Parenting the Child You Have.
Mm-hmm.
Do not buy it on Kindle, because you're going to mark in this book, and it is called, this is my husband can hear me, so I have to be really quiet. This is my relationship book. I go in and say, I'm a manifesting generator, and I have a child that's a generator who happens to be my husband. And I treat that generator child the way this book talks about it. And I started getting along a whole lot better with my husband. He's not a child. He isn't even acting like a child. I changed me for me to respond to that type in a different way than I did before that. Did that make sense to you? It's about
Yes.
me and how I respond to them. Am I giving them what they need for them to be successful as a projector, or they need to be successful as a generator, or what another manifesting generator needs, or whatever it may be? But I use it as a relationship book for anyone. I use it in I don't use it with clients, because in clients I'm supposed to call the hard stuff, but I do it with my friends, and I do it with my niece. I mean, I go in with my niece and use this book, and it's a relationship book to me, even though it says parenting the child you have. And April does a great job with it. She's a wonderful human design person that does that. I will tell you, if you have elderly parents and you can figure out halfway what their design is, it will help you deal with them more effectively, especially as they get older. And what you may see as being set in their ways or hard-headed, you may see their design show up more and the lower vibration of it. And you can help build to the higher vibration of it by treating them by the way their design is there. Did that
That's
make
very,
sense?
yeah, that's very helpful. And sorry, Stephanie, I see you got your hand up, and I'm kind of hogging but
No, we're
my
okay.
last question was just about the overlap between this information and transurfing. I'm
Mhm.
still pretty new to transurfing, but uh, the one, the human design, it seems like many of these aspects, specifically me, because I have an emotional wave, right? You've got this kind of like I'll say passive kind of like, don't react, but I'm a yeah, I'm a manifesting generator, 5-1, and I'm like, I'm very much like once I lock onto it, like it's a go.
That's right.
The and so with transurfing, I'm getting the impression that I'm getting is like, it comes down to clarity of intention, right? And but it seems
Of
like
your
a very,
intention,
what's that?
clarity
Yeah,
of your own personal intention. But
correct.
to do that, you got to know what's your energy and what's somebody else's energy. So for those open centers, you got to make sure you're not doing somebody else's willpower or somebody else's vision. Like, like, okay, for Bootsy, when he first started working, there's all these gurus in the world. No offense to gurus, because I think of guru as Bootsy as my reality transurfing guru. But there's these people in the world who say, this is how you must do everything. And this is the way you must do email marketing. And this is the way you guys, he couldn't do it the way the world said to do it. He had to do it the way he was designed to do it. And he had all this stuff show up. And when he let go, that somebody else was the authority over how he did his life, then he was able to do it. So the whole part on pendulums, when you have open centers, you get pulled into pendulums really fast because you'll do whatever you can to not feel that energy. Like you'll get pulled in and stay with one side or the other. The whole wave of fortune, all of this stuff about the whole thing on clarity and getting the clarity is figuring out what's mine and what's somebody else's. The chaos in our political worlds in the last year across the whole globe had been really strong. And if people figured out what they really value and what they don't value, and then live with intention by those values. And that's probably been the most of my sessions this past year have been people trying to figure out what they value through, and they know human design, they're able to get there sometimes more clearly and stop and look at what do I really value in life? And am I trying to live according to what society said? Because I have an open crown and all of a sudden I think I have to do whatever this person does, or I have I have to have a house. My friend that had to do the house, her budget thing was her limitation and she didn't think they could afford it. And it was one of those things that came up that she was doing it by society standards and we started doing it by clarity and saying, okay, it's going to show up. And literally, they told her she doesn't have a house. The people put the house 2 days on the market 2 days later. They go look at it, they make an offer, and they sort of let it sit. And the people wait and see if more offers come in. And then about a week later, they say, we're just going to take it and go. And they got the whole thing they needed. That's because she had clarity that this was the house. She had she even called. She says, are we supposed to up the offer? And I said, no, we muscle tested it. We did it all. No, you're not supposed to up the offer. Leave the offer alone. They got the house at the offer they made. But they had clarity and their intentions stayed with it and they were able to focus with their own values. So
Right.
human design gives you a structure. Human design can help you have a structure to feel those values and live within them.
Got it. Okay.
And I can tell you, when I started living within what I valued instead of trying to do what appeased my husband or what appeased my family or what did all that, I started liking me more. And the more I liked me, the more I felt in alignment. And I can tell you, I was conditioned, deconditioning is one of the things I talk about in human design. I didn't do a lot on it, but we get conditioned by society and by our families and by our religions and by our organizations, which are the pendulums in reality transurfing. Those are the pendulums. They have conditioned us to that we're supposed to be like this and to let go of that conditioning. For Bootsy to let go of the fact that he's probably should never have an 8 to 5 or a 9 to 5 job was probably something that was not real comfortable to his family, more than likely.
Still not.
But he shouldn't. It's one of those things that his design, if you go through and you read the gates and the stuff in his design and where they are, and that's deep in layers, you guys, that's way beyond what we've done. But it says in there so distinctly, he should never do an 8 to 5 job. He will be miserable in it. Going to work and doing that, he needs to be able to be creative, innovative, and to go with the flow on what he's doing. And he's not even a projector, he is a generator, but he has to be able to do that. Did that help, Warwick, some?
Yeah, no, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so
The
much.
conditioning part, we do the conditioning, we get a lot of that, and then we get stuck in those pendulums because we're conditioned that we have to be this way.
Right.
So
Thanks.
A lot of unlearning.
it is a lot of unlearning.
Well, let's grab Stephanie here. She's had her hand up, and
Okay.
I'm excited to hear what she may have to say. What's up with Stephanie?
Hi, I'm sorry that I'm driving. This is why I have my camera down this
That's
entire
okay.
time. But please excuse my ignorance just because I am new to this human design. It is something that I heard a while ago, and this person had a life-changing experience, and I could never really find any information about it. So I downloaded my chart, and I was able to understand a little bit of it. And my question truly is, if we supposed to work with the aspects that it benefit us, but are we supposed to also overcome some things? And the reason why I asked is because in my chart, it came up that I am someone that wants to help the world. And truly, it is. It has been something that was paralyzing to me. And thanks to Transurfing reality, I was able to overcome that. And now my life has improved a lot more when I let go of that desire to truly embrace everyone and help everyone and just, go out of my way to help other people. Now that I stepped away from that, and of course I still help, but not as I used to before. And I was able to remove that emotional desire that I had, again, thanks to Vadim. My life has turned out better. So are we supposed to use some of these things, aspects of the chart, to help us go basically with the wind instead of against it and overcome other things in
So
it?
if you use your chart, you can find a way to feel in alignment as you move through these things versus fighting and going upstream. So I don't know if Bootsy's still doing, are you still doing the river raft stuff in the summers?
Well, I'm not anymore. I'm going up for fun, but I'm not doing it.
So a few years ago, Bootsy went in and did river rafting as a guide. I'm going to brag a little. I think it was a level 4.
Well, yeah, I did the
certified
Golly
out.
River. I'm going up to the Golly.
Yeah.
Fun,
So,
yeah, I did a bunch of, I did it for like,
going from one point to another point on that stream, and I think it was one of his big things he needed to get was that you're always going to go with the flow. And if you go against the flow, you're going to fight it and you're going to get worn out and exhausted. And he would come home sometimes for his 45-minute drive and he might call and we would sit and we would talk. And it would be like this aha moment of I'm going against the flow in my life. And the flow's taking me here, but it's not the most direct way to my place I want to be. But I need to go here so I get to do what I need to do to get to the next place. So human design helps you learn how to figure out your own flow and what works with it. And it is helpful for you to recognize that there are some, and it does, there are things we came to do. We came in this human body as souls. We are in this human body to have some kind of a human experience. And we are either here to contribute to somebody else's life or to contribute to the world or a combination. And as we get ready to do that, everything I do is not for me. There are things I do that were for Bootsy. There were things that he has done that were for me. There were things that I have done that have been for clients that I'll never see again, but it changed their life and they're going to go do something later. There's going to be things I learned from somebody rejecting me that I needed to learn. That person was not to be in my life, or I couldn't have moved forward with the flow. What I found with human design is it's helped me be able to stop and go with the flow more and quit getting mad instead of being the victim. Instead of being the victim of it, I could have been the victim of my first husband for a really long time. I could have been the victim of being paralyzed. And I read that one, I read this listing prophecy to get through. When I became the victim because I couldn't find a job because I was so doggone overqualified and I'd made too much money and I was whatever, and I was female, to be honest with you, in Oklahoma, in a state that that males got big jobs and females did not, even though it was not that long ago. I can tell you that reality transurfing is what helped me see how to flow that better and to quit being the victim in it. Because I was the victim before I started listening to that YouTube channel. I was the victim beyond the victim, and I was mad. And the thing that knocked me out of it was when I had that near-death experience, and then I hunted. I went hunting for something to help me get through this because I told Mike, God's not going to let me die until I get done what I have to get done. So will you help me get it done so I can die? That was my whole goal. That was my whole goal. And Bootsy's YouTube channel helped me see that really wasn't my goal, but that was the reason I started the search. So my flow to start the search got me there, and then it moved me beyond to where I've been able to help so many people. I'm a big believer in relationship charts to understand how your relationship dynamics are with each other and to be able to love them. So as you say that, I do think that your chart has, where it's open, we're here to learn. Where it's defined, you're here, you have some set stuff you're going to do. Does not mean everything's going to be easy, and it doesn't mean life's going to be perfect. I can tell you, since Bootsy has known me, I've had a major health issue happen in my life that I was mad when it happened. I was angry when it happened. Do you think it's okay to talk about it, Bootsy? Or
I am fine with it. I was mad too. I'm fine with it.
I did on March 1st, 2021, and I almost died that day. I have almost died so many times since that date that you cannot describe. I was guided 100% in alignment to take, and I was mad the first 9 months. As my hair fell out, my eyelashes, my eyebrows, my skin came off my body, the heart condition where I couldn't walk across the room, and cysts covered all my organs. My body was covered in a rash that was unbelievable. I was sicker than sick, and I really did want to die because the pain was so bad. And I finally got out of victim mode on December 21st, 2021, when it was time for the winter solstice. And I went in and I said, this is just not working. I can't heal this. What's this about? And I stopped doing what I was doing and I quit being the victim. And I said, maybe there's something I'm supposed to do different. Maybe I'm supposed to help my doctor get rid of his blocks around this stupid, see, I didn't curse that time, stupid.
Warranted.
It was warranted. I don't call it that. He knows what I call it.
Yeah.
It's the day I did not get to die. But I started clearing blocks of my doctor to find alternative methods to be able to help people. And I started activating him to get aha moments. And I went once a week to him because I was so sick. And within the next 4 months, he started all these weird, crazy, unusual treatments. And now I'm still alive. I haven't died. The heart condition's under control. The cysts are off of my organs. I am on a really weird new protocol right now to see if they can get the rest off. My skin still peels off. I did get, my husband teases that most people paid a lot of money for all of those skin tightening things to get to be, because I'm 68 years old, you guys, and I'm telling you, my skin came off in layers, just rolled off of my body. But when it came back, it was like baby skin and it was tight and it was, you know, my husband teases me that we would have paid a lot of money for that whole kind of thing, but it was tough. But my whole purpose of that was I was no longer the victim. I was the advocate for my doctor to have somebody, and his practice has totally changed. He's added functional medicine. He has added counseling. He's added mindfulness. He has built a new building. He's 6 times larger, and he's a medical doctor who says the old way doesn't work. We're going to find the root cause of what's wrong. Supplements are important. Genetic testing is important to see if you have something. And he goes and he sits to me and he says to me every time I'm there, "You changed my world." He'd been my patient for 20 plus years. He said, "You were perfectly healthy and had a physical 1 month before the of which you were like a 20-year-old body, and then you were almost dead." He said, "You, all of the things you've tried that have worked and helped have gone all over the world." And people call me, and he says, "No, I can't write anything, but you're my case study." He says, "People don't know your name, but you have saved hundreds of thousands of people by going through protocols during those first months that nobody else would have done because you didn't care if you died." And I didn't. So when I say that to you, is that we're going to have stuff that's really shitty and really awful and really hard, but sometimes we do it for somebody else. And if this doctor can get more Western doctors to start integrating Eastern modalities and integrating different things and mindfulness and all those processes in, then it was worth it. I will tell you right now, I've had 6 stem cell treatments. I'm now on a whole new protocol with a whole new thing that's very different that seems to be helping. I have my hair back. I have my skin. I can walk across the room. I can do stuff I could not do for a long time. And every time I walk in, last time I came in, I was in there and I came in and he said, "Hey," and he had his computer and some papers under it. And he said, "I don't know what happens, but about a week before you get here or 2 or 3 days before you get here now, because I go every month or two to see him now." He said, "I get this big aha moment and this big aha moment of this thing to try." And he says, "Do you want to try something new?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll try something new." And he says, "Great." And he says, "Let's try this and see how it works. And let's see what we can get going." If you had seen my body then and you saw my body you now, you know how many things have worked. And lots of people, I had almost every reaction that there was. Some people had one, some people had two. I had them all. And the fact that I didn't die was the whole fact of that it changed his world and it changed what he does. Does any other Western doctor like him? Most of them are mad at him now, but that's okay. He's okay with that. As I say that to you, so you're not going to like it all, but you will find that you may have changed somebody else's life. So I'm here in the human body this time for this incarnation, but all of it wasn't for my experiences. Sometimes it was for others. And sometimes it was for me to grow and learn. I had to embrace. Somebody asked on the questions, is there any other points or gates for intuition? Gate 22 is a huge intuition gate, by the way, as well as gate 57. There are others, but those are the two bigger ones. And I have gate 22. And gate 22 has always given me fits when I go through a transit with it. And it's all about the relationships and grace and all of this. And I will say honestly on it is that my intuition has become stronger. My abilities to do stuff have become better because I went through it. But I didn't do it for me. I did it for my doctor who has really tried. So I hope that helps a little bit for Steph.
I really appreciate you sharing that. Honestly, I guess
So-
dicey. We'll bleep it out for the YouTubes, for obvious
Thank
reasons.
you.
But yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, we don't need you to get a zillion calls about
No,
doesn't
we
happen
don't
and
need.
it doesn't exist because that's what happens. So
Oh no, I don't need to get in trouble by YouTube again. And that's why, I
I
think
know.
it's good that we're
We're
doing
gonna,
it
yeah,
in this
it's there.
container, and then we can just bleep out certain words. I'll just have
I don't do anything that would be on there that would, because I don't need somebody to get banned because
Right.
of the fact that
Yeah, no, I
my
appreciate
fact, my reality and my fact and their reality and their facts are very different. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's why I think it's better to have this a private container that's just in the school group. And Jeana is in the school group now. If people want to get a reading, if they want to work with you, what's the best way? Can they send you a message on school? Should they email you? What do you think is
They can
best?
do school, but they can also email me.
I'll put it in.
And it's my first name, Jeana, at jeanalocke.com. You can email me. And some of you put your charts in here, and I saw them. I have to download them and then go put them in a folder and then pull them out, which is fine. I don't mind doing that. It takes a minute to get all that going on there. But yeah, it's one of those things that I'm more than happy to do on that. And to be honest with you, I usually, when I do this, if you see something that would be helpful for the whole group, Bootsy, then ask and we can come back in and just do one that we do. And you can just ask.
Maybe we could do a workshop
Yeah.
or something, and
Yeah,
just
you
like
can do
people
workshops or
contribute a
something. I
little
don't
bit.
mind. My point is, I want people to understand who they are and love themselves. When
Yeah.
I started loving me, then I got where I didn't have to judge other people near as badly. And I didn't have to think they were wrong. And it's sort of like, because they're in a low vibration, that's okay. They can be in a low vibration. That doesn't mean I have to absorb their low vibration. And I was absorbing a lot. I have a lot of open centers, and I was absorbing a lot of their energies. And then I would think badly, of where I was. If you can learn to love yourself the way you are, and then look at the others, and you can say, just because I respect who they are doesn't mean I have to let them into my energy field.
Right.
Big lesson for Bootsy. He had to do it, and he had to no longer be a victim to somebody who did something bad to him. They can do something bad, but that was their problem. They get to live with the karma later, and the karma will show up later for them somewhere in another incarnation, more than likely. So
Yeah.
I always remind myself of that. I came here and I chose to come back in this lifetime at this point in time. I chose. I must have had a doggone good reason. And my guide, who happens to be named, probably reminds me of that pretty often. But there's a really good reason of why I chose to be back. There's a really good reason of why I had to send a thank you note to Bootsy. There's a really good reason of some stuff that happened. And sometimes when it tugs at you so hard you can't see straight, you need to know there's a really good reason for it. And it may have to do with what you came here to do in this lifetime. It may have been, I honestly thought he just needed to know he had great YouTubes. I mean, he had really great, it was great. And it made a difference in somebody's life. He saved somebody's life. He needed to know that. Then we became friends, which was a nice connection for me. But I've sent other thank yous to people that I've not become friends with. But I know it made a difference. And I know it helped them. So
I needed it so much too at the time. I mean, sometimes we just need a little bit of validation from the external world. We feel so isolated, especially during that time, because we met was like
he had
the
shut
world
down.
was shut down, right? Like there's no one around you. The grocery store was it, right? Like that's going out. Going out was going to the grocery store. So it was really, I needed it too. So I appreciate it. I'm grateful that you reached out and followed your intuition. I always encourage everybody to do the same. And yeah, we'll kick it around, guys, and figure out some way to do like maybe like a mass reading or something like that.
Yeah,
like a
we
little
can do that.
workshop.
And we could do them in some small groups of 10 or something, which is
All
a
right.
little simpler sometimes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we could do some breakouts.
And if I, yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And from there, guys, I really appreciate y'all for being here. Thanks for staying and hanging out with us. I hope you got something out of this. And please share your wins for Wednesday
Oh,
in the group.
Somebody asked a question
Okay.
on ChatGPT. Take about 80% of what ChatGPT says is okay. And about 80%, about 20% of it is super screwed up. So when you get in there to read it and you get there to do it, there are different types of human design things. So the guy who writes this book, this one,
What's
his
that
name's
one called?
Sheekan. He does evolutionary. Karen Curry Parker does quantum. Ra does traditional. There's another one there's different ones that have them. They have different vocabularies and they have different stuff. The vocabulary is what may be, but Chat GPT gets it all messed up and changes the words and makes it sound different than it is. So you can take about 80% of it and attune it, but ask more questions of it if you do it. And ask real particular questions, like say, how would a quantum human design, because quantum human design is going to talk in the high vibration, and say, how would a quantum human design person state this material? they're going to pull Karen Curry Parker and a lot of the other stuff. My stuff's trained under Sheehan and Karen Curry Parker, and I've done some under Emma Dunwoody. I've done a little bit of stuff, not much, but I've done quite a bit under some Jamie Palmer on getting your ideal clients for people who have businesses, a whole deal on how to find your ideal clients and connect with them, and doing certifications in that. So saying that to you is if I look at it and somebody sends me something, here's what ChatGPT said, I usually get just, it's about 80%. So take it with a grain of salt.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean you ignore it, but take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I would say that about ChatGPT about just about any topic too, if I'm honest. Like it's great to just like bounce stuff off of and ask questions, but like you got to be the person to decide it, right? Like you can't let the pendulum dictate you. You got to dictate the pendulum.
You got to
So,
dictate the pendulum. Yeah.
So, and then it's your ally. It's no longer your enemy. So,
There was a manifester in this book group, and you might want to read the book Informed. Informed.
Who's the author?
Informed is by Holly Herb, Herbig. Can't see it, I'm sure.
Herbig?
Informed.
Yeah.
Herbig.
Yeah,
And for reflectors, this lady's awesome. She's out of Australia. She came to the United States. I got to attend 2 retreats with her in 2 weeks and spend time with her. And it is The Human Design Reflector by Amber Clemens. And if you're a reflector, I encourage you to have a reading with her. That's for reflectors.
Okay.
It's great, I use it a lot when I'm working with a reflector. If you know of a reflector or live with a reflector, you know a manifestor or live with a manifestor or know a projector or live with a projector, I'm telling you, it's very helpful to understand some of the stuff in these books. So
yeah,
most of these are written by quantum human design specialists.
We'll definitely do something again. Jeana, I cannot thank you enough. Like unbelievable. I learned a lot, and I think everyone, I mean, we had like 25 people.
Will you save the chat for me so I can pull their charts off here? Yep. And then I can send the info back to you, and then you can email it to them.
Yep, absolutely. Happy to do it. Yep, happy to do it. And then, yeah, guys, Wednesday. It's Wednesday. This could be a win. You could post about this as a win if you wanted to. Whatever you want. Anything. You found a penny on the ground. It was heads up. It was tails down. That doesn't matter. Just let us know. We're building that wave of fortune every little bit, and this group has been amazing. And then I have another friend of mine that I will have on a similar call to this next Wednesday, and we'll be talking about dating and relationships. It's going to get very juicy, so so that'll be a lot of fun. And please show up for that.
Bootsy, I want to add one thing since you're doing it next week. Do not let human design stop you from a relationship.
Okay.
When somebody says, oh, that's not a good design for you, there's no bad design. It really depends upon how much you want to be able to love and respect the other person for who they are. And the design stuff there can be some struggles and some stuff. Bootsy's got gate 34 and I've got gate 34. We could struggle and say who's the most powerful, but we don't because we're okay with it. So do not let human design dictate who you marry, who you have relationships with, or who you do. Use it to just align your own alignment and to respect others, and then remove yourself from energies that are not good for you.
That's such good advice. Yeah, I strongly agree with that. Yeah, it'd be so easy. Like it goes back to that whole like using it as a crutch thing that was talking
Don't do that.
about, right? Like people who are in relationships with us are there for a mirror for us. So
that's right.
They're there to teach us about ourselves, and we're there to teach them about themselves.
Or support you. They're either there to teach or support you. Yeah.
So yeah.
And so maybe there's been relationships you may have been in that you were supposed to walk away from and you didn't. And you didn't do it in 3 lifetimes. And you got back to come to this lifetime and to say, did you get the lesson that you should have walked away from that doggone relationship?
Yeah.
And when you get the lesson, you get to move on. And just thinking, if you've ever had somebody, you're like, why didn't I do that a long time ago? Boy, you wonder how many lifetimes you had that same kind of crappy relationship that you didn't walk away. And now all of a sudden you find, I am really whole when I walked away from that. So giving yourself the courtesy, because you do learn from relationships, and being able to have the courage to walk away if you're supposed to walk away. And boy, I'm telling you, your authority is really good for that. So it's not a crutch. It's just an asset to support you in your journey, just like energy healing, just like reality transurfing. It's not a one standalone thing. I never make it that way.
I love it. Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you again so very much. Everybody, thanks for being a part of the group. Really appreciate you. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging. I'm going to send the chat over to Jeana, and then, yeah, just thank her when you have some time for her time and her wisdom. I appreciate it. And I will see you all around the group very, very soon. Looking forward to seeing all the comments about Wednesday. It's my favorite day. Let's get after it.
Thank you. Thanks, Bootsy, for allowing me to come and y'all taking all this time. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeana.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Y'all have a great day. Cheers.